today was a historic day, not just for Minnesota, not just for Georgia, but for the entire world. Former officer Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 counts. And we can say none of us have cried this much, including the family, probably since we were children. Y'all probably seen the video we posted of all of us learning of the charges. And I still don't have the words for it. Hopefully today will begin positive change with interactions between citizens, especially African Americans and minorities, and law enforcement, and get us to the common ground where we need to be at. There doesn't have to be animosity or abuse between interactions with law enforcement and minorities. It just doesn't have to happen. We need to be raising the good officers that actually care about the community and putting behind bars officers like Derek Chauvin. The tears you saw today were not just for George Floyd, but they were for the countless times we're stopped and pulled over for no reason, just because you're Black driving in a certain area, which leads to these interactions. That has to stop. So we're proud of the historic criminal verdict today, and we're proud of the historic civil settlement, because that's what our law firm does, is the civil cases, not just civil rights, but all types of civil lawsuits. But today was historic, and we're proud. We're proud for Georgia. We're proud for the change that this can mean. We're proud of the unity, seeing all of the Black people, white people, Hispanic, every nationality you can name marching and demanding justice for George Floyd. That's the only reason that we got justice. It was not just our legal team. It was not just Ben Crump's legal team. It was not just us. It was all of you. It was all of Georgia. And we're just proud. So I'll pass the mic to my law partner, Justin.
Sure, Chris. So today was a great day for me because I got to speak to my children. And this whole time that was making me the most nervous, because I didn't know how I would explain to them that something so important was happening and why this thing would not turn out the way everyone knew it should turn out. So the conversation I had with them was much different. They were very happy. I was very happy and very relieved that this thing finally turned out the way it should have turned out. And so I feel like we may be able to actually start getting some change in this country if things like this can continue to happen. There can't just be one trial where it gets where the jury gets it right. There have to be several of them. And that will start, the process of these things no longer happening. We definitely need to see real reform to policing. We need to see better training, better hiring of police officers. We need to see better reporting of the bad police officers to make sure that they can't move from, department to department. We need to see different avenues to make sure that if something does happen like this, those police officers are held legally accountable, criminally and civilly. So we think this is a good start. This was a great day for justice. It definitely was a great day for Minnesota. And we think it was a great day for the country. So what I will say, and I'll just leave you guys with this. If Minnesota, can do this and lead the way in this, then I know that Georgia can. And we have a case on a Rayshard Brooks, which is a little different case, but it is similar in that people need to really see things from another perspective, not just their perspective. And I think that that's what the jurors in this case did. They saw things from the perspective of, Mr. Floyd and his family, and generally Black people, African Americans in this country. And I think that if they do that with these other cases, we may have some different outcomes and we may see some change as well. So I'm going to hand it off to my partner, Madeline. She can finish it up.
Thank you, Justin and Chris. And you said it very well. Today was a historic day, very emotional when that verdict came in for all of us, for our clients, the family members, of course, because it really sent a message. The jurors here in Minneapolis sent a message that no matter who you are, what you look like, or what your job is, we're going to hold wrongdoers accountable. And that's what that verdict said. But really, it's a first step. You know, like Justin mentioned, there is reform that needs to be done. That was something that was very important to us in the negotiations of the civil case, is talking about the reform that we needed to see in Minneapolis. But there's reform that needs to be done all over the country. And that's why it's so important that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act get passed at the federal level. We need to see that. The country needs to see that. And we're going to continue fighting. But today was a good day. Like I said, it was a step in the right direction. We're very thankful to the jurors for coming back with guilty on all 3 counts, and very thankful that Derek Chauvin's going to jail for this. But with that, we'd love to open it up to questions.
How big of a precedent do you think this case will actually set for future cases?
It's history making. You know, this first time in Minnesota history that an officer has gone to jail for 2nd-degree murder. We've heard it's the first time that an officer has ever even been charged with a crime when killing an African American. It is a situation, you know, people look at Walter Scott and they say, oh, that officer ended up getting 20 years. He pled. It was not a guilty verdict. The jury was a hung jury at the trial. I was in the courtroom with the family and we were crying as it was a hung jury. And we couldn't understand, how can it be a hung jury when you saw a man get shot in the back 5 times on video? This is historic. And what it does is it sends a message of accountability. You have to have law enforcement. I am not an anti-law enforcement person. None of our law firm is. You have to have law enforcement. That's who you call when you're in trouble. That's who you call in the middle of the night. And I have some friends that are law enforcement and they love their community. But there are also too many cases like Derek Chauvin who abuse power. And that's why that Justice and Policing Act has to be changed. And that's why we're proud of Minnesota for the changes they've implemented without even having a federal mandate. They are proactively doing that. And we are calling upon the mayor, we're calling upon the chief, everyone to proactively take actions that will protect good officers and protect the community. Stop racial profiling in Georgia. Stop any situations that can put an officer in a situation where he can escalate unnecessarily. We want unity. And that's what this verdict is going to send, because if not, you're going to go to jail.
How concerned were you that the case would not have this outcome?
Very concerned. You know, we had faith in the jury from day one, but we were very concerned. You know, and I was speaking to someone about this earlier. As an officer of the court, you know, you believe in the justice system, and we know that this is what we went to school for. This is what we've been doing for years. We've been trying cases and we know that the justice system can work. However, as a Black American, as a Black man, I have seen the way that justice is not the same for us sometimes, and we do not get the same kind of treatment that other people would get. So, you know, when we get killed, you know, we might not get that justice. So we were very concerned about it, and we were very nervous, like the rest of the country. And I think that it turned out well.
All right. Well, you know, what did the family members have to say? Because I didn't see that part of it tonight. You know, what was their immediate reaction following this verdict?
Tears. I mean, they were overjoyed. Tears. Like I said, quite emotional for them. Obviously, they missed their family member, their brother, their cousin, their father. But so very happy to see justice be done and to see that he got convicted of all 3 charges.
Now, in terms of, is it possible that Chauvin will appeal this case?
I mean, in every situation like this, of course, your lawyer is going to file an appeal. It doesn't mean it's valid. It doesn't mean it'll work, but any lawyer is going to appeal it. So when we see his appeal filed, don't worry. That's what happens in these cases. So That's just the legal process. Same thing with sentencing. We're not commenting on sentencing because that's going to be up to the judge. And as you've seen, the judge does not like people commenting on the proceedings of what he has to do. So whatever the sentence ends up being, you have to trust the judicial system.
I guess, and lastly,
one more question.
Okay, what were some of the biggest hurdles that you all were facing throughout this trial?
I think one of the biggest hurdles is that he's a police officer, and people are trained, inherently trained to believe police officers and to think that they're good and they don't do things like this. So that was one thing. And then the second thing, there was a lot of talk about George Floyd's character, about drug use, and about different things that were really red herrings and just take you away from the really meat of the case, which was Derek Chauvin's knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. So those were some of the hurdles. And I'm glad that the jury didn't get caught up in the weeds and they made the right decision.
And just we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I mean, look, Georgia, Stewart, Miller, Simmons, we love y'all. Y'all are the only people that we decided to talk to tonight to explain this, because we see this day as unity that needs to spread to Georgia. It's not a victory just for the Floyd family or just for African Americans. This is a victory for everybody, because people got to actually see what justice looks like. You don't get to see this often. Everybody watched this trial every day and got to see what justice looks like, which is what we fight every day at our firm. Not even if it's just a civil rights case, it's justice. And the feeling you have right now, the pride you have, that's what justice is. So we'll be home soon. Glad everything is positive. And I hope people are celebrating in Georgia like they are here, because in the streets in Minnesota, people are driving by, hugging each other, honking horns. It's beautiful.